I'm a feminist, but lately I've been doing this 90s fashion statement, which is to wear a T-shirt under a dress with shoestring straps. And today I am wearing a white T-shirt under a black dress, and I have insecurely asked 3 people, does this look like a monochrome dirndl, or is it giving understanding 21st century nun who doesn't really believe in God but wants to teach children to read?
Yeah, I like the nun one. Yeah.
Well, everyone else said no.
Oh.
I don't know. I feel like it might look a bit like a German dirndl. You know, if you go and see, if you go into Bavaria... and
what's a dirndl?
Well, it's, you know, that traditional German dress that women wear to church or to do traditional dancing? You know, a traditional German dirndl. Think about German national dress.
Huh?
What was that?
They don't wear it to church.
I heard they wear it for Oktoberfest. Someone said they don't wear it to church. I nannied for a woman in Bavaria and she wore it to church, and everyone did. What was that?
That's weird. It's weird for her to do.
She was German, though. What, are you German?
No, I lived there.
You lived there?
I lived there and he's German.
Ah.
Oh, you're German. You think it's weird for a woman to wear a dirndl to church?
Yes, probably.
It was a very conservative part of Bavaria, I think. Old-fashioned. Does that make more sense? Because he wore, like, lederhosen.
Oh, yeah.
They were a very wealthy, very odd couple, I'll be honest with you.
I knew a guy who wore a Slipknot hoodie to mass. And that was frowned upon. That was, you know, that kid.
I can see why.
Yeah.
What did you wear to mass?
When you do your confirmation, you're allowed to pick your own clothes as a 12-year-old. And I went double denim.
I thought you had to wear white for confirmation.
Communion. That's when you dress as a bride. It's not weird at all.
Because you're a 12-year-old.
It's totally normal. No, a 7-year-old. Even better.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And you have to... did you ever have Holy Communion?
We had communion, but in the Anglican Church, I don't think we called it holy. It was just communion.
Was it just a wafer?
No, wafer. No. We had the wine.
Oh,
after I was confirmed as an Anglican.
I'm talking solids, like the wafer. Do you know?
As an Anglican, before we became Jehovah's Witnesses.
I'm an Anglican, but
yes. Before we became Jehovah's Witnesses, we went to the Church of England, and my dad became a lay preacher who used to give the wine and the bread. So we used to have to go down and kneel, and it was sometimes my dad, and he'd put this little wafer on your tongue, and then you drink the wine.
Wow.
You sip it. It is odd when you think about it, because we were children.
Yeah, it's like a holy Lunchable, isn't it? You know, like those little bad boys. Yeah, I used to... Did you have this... You can't say it without sounding weird. I'm going to try. Did you have a choice whether to have it in the mouth or the hand?
Again, I think that my local Church of England was very different from your Irish Catholic experience.
Yeah, I was a big mouth girl, to be honest with you.
I think it was, and now you're making me sound weird, but I think it was always in the mouth.
Yeah.
I don't think we did ever take it in the hand. You had to open your mouth.
Yeah, I know.
Oh God, you had to kneel down and open your mouth. I've never thought of that before.
I know. I always felt like a hungry hippo. You know that? I loved it. Yeah.
Okay, can you please do one?
Oh, sorry, yeah. I'm a Catholic, but... okay, I'm a feminist, but I saw a woman taking in Jaffa cakes into the Beyonce concert last week. Oh. And that was the most inspiring thing I saw all night. No, Beyonce was amazing. Don't get it wrong. Beyonce was incredible, life-affirming. But when I saw that woman taking a full multi-pack of Jaffa cakes, who run the world? Carbs, you know, it's beautiful.
I'm a feminist, but yesterday I met a friend and decided to walk home from the West End back to Camden. And so as I was leaving him to walk away, a man started following me and going, oh, I heard you saying you were really excited about something to that guy. What are you excited about? Just like this random man. And I turned around And I realised he was hitting on me, and I was just like, and I just said, oh, it's all good, and I just kept walking, and I just thought, what is it with men hitting on women in the street? Can they not understand, at least make eye contact first? Like, if you're going to want to do that, what you'd have to do is run around, go to the other side of the street, run up, cross the road, so that you could walk casually back the other way, make eye contact, smile, and then say something like, I don't know, ask for direction. Why am I teaching men how to hit on women? I don't know. But I felt like if he'd said, oh, do you know where, Leicester Square Theatre is or something like that, I would have said, oh, yes, down there. And he said, oh, are you going there too? No, but I perform there sometimes. Like, I'm now having the conversation I would have had.
Would that creep you out, though, if a guy's like, where are you going to? You know?
No, but if he asked me for directions or something. But just chasing me going, I've been eavesdropping into your conversation.
Yeah.
I need to know the details. And I was like, men, come on now. Do better. But then, tonight, I walked from Camden to here, to King's Place, and the most handsome man I saw on my walk didn't even acknowledge me. Like, he saw me and he didn't smile, he didn't look at me, he didn't acknowledge me. It was just like I was completely out of the running from him. And I was very annoyed.
Were you?
I was just like...
Genuinely, I thought this was like a good news story. I was like, great.
No, he was French, and that explains it all. And I know that because after I saw him, he got on the phone and I followed him, but not in a way that... not in a way that you're thinking, not in a bad way. He came across the road, so that's how we could make eye contact, and then he turned, so he was walking ahead of me, so I had to be walking behind him. And I heard him get on the phone and speak in French, and I thought, that's why, because he's French and he thinks he's better than me. And, like a handsome French man with a scarf. And I was just like, man...
Oh, I don't know. They have quite a lot of affairs, don't they?
Well, not with me. Why didn't he say, what were you surprised about? I heard 2 days ago you were surprised, or you were excited about something. Why were you excited? I heard you look excited.
That would be amazing.
Wouldn't it be?
Could I get directions to your house?
Exactly. And so what I've established from this is men cannot get it right. And no, men should just not, unless there's something organic, men should just not harass women in the street. I'm joking about the French. I mean, there was a French man, I did follow him, but he didn't smile at me, it did annoy me. All of that is true, but it is obviously a joke, because obviously I don't want any men, French or otherwise, to harass women in the street. And I'm a feminist, but I really told you that because I wanted you to know I'm walking everywhere now.
I was thinking that.
Were you? Were you thinking she's getting her steps in? Because I never walk anywhere normally, and
Yeah.
I've started, and I'm just so smug about it. I needed everyone to know, so I thought, how can I smuggle it in? Those stories are absolutely cast iron true, both of them, 100% true. I've not made anything up, but I did think, I'll add the detail about where I was walking from and to.
I did think they were like, do you want people to know where you live? It felt like you were doxing yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, sorry, don't worry.
No,
I don't mean it in a...
people who listen to The Guilty Feminist are so lovely. They're not going to be like, where in Camden does she live? Blah 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 blah.
There is the guilty part. Like, what have they been guilty of in the past? Stalking, could be.
I don't think people listen to this who've just done second-degree murder. They're not like, oh, this podcast is for me.
Genuinely.
Guilty feminist. I'm guilty. Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I hope people who've done second-degree murder do listen, because I want to include everyone in the space, and I think it's nice to if you're listening and you've done second-degree murder, please don't write in and go, well,
oh my God, Deborah, you're fine. They're fine. I mean, they got bigger things on their mind. Then
you'd be surprised at the emails I get. Oh, by the way, someone stopped me in the street in Camden the other day called Mairead, and I told her to come tonight. Mairead, are you in? Yeah. Hey! Mairead came. So this is another story about how I was walking somewhere.
Hey!
And someone went past me and went, oh my God, it's you. And I was like, I must know you. Yes. And I was like, yes, it's me. And it's you. I think it was probably a comedian who worked in Edinburgh or something like that.
Yeah.
And she said, you don't know me, I love your podcast. And I was like, oh my God, did you live in Camden? Yeah, I'm doing a show in Camden virtually tomorrow night. Come along and I'll see you in the bar afterwards. So Mairead's in. So big round of applause for Mairead.
Beautiful.
And what did we take away from that? Getting my steps in.
Beautiful. I'm a feminist, but I I like to buy shampoo that warns me not to eat it. Like I like a shampoo that says, please do not consume. Because I feel like it's looking out for me personally.
Which shampoos say that? Isn't that for children's shampoo?
Nah, mate, I'm a full-grown woman. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. I'm grown. It's a banana shampoo. And it's called hair food.
And it smells like banana and it's called hair food.
Yeah. And I don't know if they expect someone to just like cup their hand in and smear it in their mouth and like condition their gums.
So you basically say you're a feminist, but you like to be patronised by your packaging.
I do. I love that shit. Because it just feels like, you know when someone goes, be careful. And you're like, oh, you care for me.
You feel like you're being mothered.
I feel like Garnier cares for my well-being. Is it Garnier? L'Oreal? Whatever it is.
One of those ones that tells you you're worth it.
Yeah, Lush don't give a shit about me. Yeah, I'm joking. I'm trying to think of a company.
If you're listening and you work for Lush, we know that you do give, as Alison puts it, a shit about all of us.
No,
with your homemade products that are out the back.
I want to see Lush do a whole campaign, a month of like caring about Alison's well-being. We just want Alison Spittle to know that we care.
So it's like L'Oreal, you're worth it. Lush, we give a shit about Alison.
Yeah, Lush, Alison, drink some water. Come on. Get out of the house, babes. Alison, please stop Googling yourself. What are you doing? And that would be the whole
Alison,
month.
take Instagram off your phone. It's rotting your brain.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Can you do another one? I did 2 in a row.
Okay. I'm a feminist, but I seem to only buy painkillers that come in pink packaging. Because I feel like it'll work better.
Oh, yes.
Do you know? It's really fucked up.
No, I know what you mean.
I just go in, I'm like, pink, thank you.
Because period pain ones...
Yes, that's the...
always come in pink packaging.
Yeah.
And they come in a vibrant pink that implies this is strong.
Yeah, or like... as well as that, like, period pain feels so all-encompassing as a pain, I feel. And, like, I feel like if it sorts that shit out, it can do this tension headache fine, you know?
Oh, I think that's right. I think period pain pills...
Yeah. Oh, it's the good shit.
It's the good shit. Because
you'll need it tomorrow.
So much worse pain. Those painkillers have to be industrial.
Well, they don't have to be, but I like it. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes you like to clean your kitchen with bleach. Doesn't need it. But you feel like you've done something.
I get it. Live from King's Place in London, the Spontaneity Shop presents The Guilty Feminist with me, Eden Cross's-White, guest co-host Alison Spittle, and our very special guest, Priya Joi, talking about Priya Joi's new book. Hello, and welcome. So lovely to see you. It's so lovely to be here back in person. I could touch you if there wasn't such a gulf between me and the stage. I don't really like I love King's Place. It's one of our favourite venues. Please come in. Look, these people are late because they've been fighting the patriarchy right up to the last second. Come in. Is anyone late because of feminism? Anyone late because they've got a feminist job? Yeah. I was just saying I love King's Place, but I don't like it when you're so far below me, because I know that if you're in the front 2 rows, you've got the same view of me that I get when I accidentally open my camera phone the wrong way. You know that moment where you go, oh, God, is that what I look like? I'm all chin. I think I look better the further we go back. So people at the back, I'm nowhere near as attractive as you think I am. People down the front, I'm 45% more attractive than you think I am. Just so you know. And I know some of you are going, wow, you must be really hot. Nobody's saying that. Why? Disappointing? Just give us a cheer if you listen to The Guilty Feminist. Give us a cheer if you don't know what you're at. You don't know? No? You've been brought here?
Yeah, no, it's his birthday.
It's his birthday?
It's my idea.
You've come for your birthday? No, I'm not saying it won't be good. I don't want to... You shouldn't be convincing me that my own show is good. But I am going to question it, sir. What made you go, I'll get a group of friends together to go to the Guilty Feminist for my birthday? Do something different, you thought. How old are you? If that's okay. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, so please don't feel obliged.
I'm 18.
You're 50 years old. This is your 50th. Am I your 50th birthday present to yourself? Gosh, this better be good. What's your name? Nelson. Would you consider yourself a feminist, Nelson?
Look, I've got 3 teenage daughters.
You've got 3 teenage daughters.
4 women.
You live with 4 women. Did they tell you to come to this? Because this is just... I'm just really reaching here, Nelson, as to how this was your idea. Yeah, the Guilty Feminist Diaries. That's not what this is called. No. You're in the right show, Nelson, but it's just called The Guilty Feminist. But you've brought some male friends along, and one of them is sitting in the row in front of you. What's happened? Because there's a seat next to you that's available, and you've put him in the seat ahead. You wanted to sit in the front row, sir, away from your friends.
Let's take someone else's seat.
Oh, you're worried you'd take someone else's seat. This is the seat you'd been assigned. Gosh, that's... See, I wouldn't worry about that. I'd just be like, they're there, unless I get asked to move. What I'm saying to you, sir, is I'm a white woman. That's... No. I understand, sir. I understand. Okay, all right. So, wow. Well, we're delighted to have you. And you've not listened to the podcast, but Nelson, you have. You haven't. More and more curious as to why this is your 50th birthday present. But I'm delighted. You know, it's.
I'm being honest with you, so.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. I'm just loving it. But I am fascinated because if you were like, oh, we were hanging around King's Cross and we thought, what's on? There might be a cello concert at King's Place. And then you were like, no, this looks like comedy. I don't really know what it's about, but let's give it a go. I would understand. But it's a planned night out for your 50th. And I don't want to impose that you're a straight man. Are you a straight man? Is that okay to ask? Yeah?
I am.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, great. Asked and answered. Great. It's a unique choice, and I'm so glad you've made it, Nelson. Excellent. I feel we need to get you a drink or something, though. I feel like... Yeah, I feel like we need to get you... Are we allowed drinks in here? Yeah, okay. Have we got someone... Tom, are you there? Tom? Tom is never here when you need... He'll put his head through there in a minute. What would you like, Nelson? Do you want a bottle of wine for your friends? How many friends have you brought? A bottle of vodka? There's 4... So there's 4 blokes out on the town. Nelson's 50th. Again, Tom... Okay, Nelson is a 50-year-old man. It's his birthday today. He's never heard the show before, but he planned with 3 straight male friends. Don't want to assume. Yes, to come to the Guilty Feminist. This is his 50th birthday. So would we be able to get them... No. If you're listening at home, Tom just said, are you being punked? No, they're just nice guys who thought this would be a fun night out and are increasingly understanding that it won't. So I'm just wondering if you could ask someone to get them a bottle of wine. Yeah, get some beers in for the lads, is what I'm asking. Would you like beer or wine? White wine. Don't impose your straight cisgendered male tastes on my audience. We already know what Nelson likes to do for his 50th. He doesn't want your beer. He wants...
A rosé, if possible.
He said a rosé if possible. I'm not being punked. He wants a bottle of rosé. Could you bring a bottle of rosé and 4 glasses, or ask somebody to do that for Nelson's birthday? Yes, Nelson's friend, yes.
I don't drink. Can I have orange juice?
Tom, could you just tell Tom one of Nelson's friends doesn't drink and would like an orange juice, please? I mean, I just don't know, but I love it. But listen, seriously, you can sit with your friends if you'd prefer, but it seems like you're happy where you are. What's your name, Nelson's friend? Marcus. And you have got a beer, Marcus.
Cider.
A cider. That's why you're not sitting with those rosé orange juice drinkers. You're like, I'll come to your birthday, but that's where I draw the line. No, I know, it's fully booked. Yeah, no, I understand why. But those feminists haven't turned up. They're probably out doing something incredibly feminist. Or maybe they'll turn up later. Do you consider yourself a feminist, Marcus? I'm here to learn. What a great attitude, Marcus. What a lovely attitude. Marcus is here to learn. Excellent. Well, are you single, Marcus? You are? Okay. Well, then I would say you were a feminist if I were you in this room. Are you single, Nelson? You're married, okay. He's married. Oh, how do you know? Did he tell me? Oh, that's right, you said married with children. Yes, with daughters. Yes, well remembered. You are now, what's your name? Ali, you're now in charge of remembering things that Nelson or other people tell me. Yes, absolutely. Great. Yes, excellent. All right, so I've been asking audiences lately, who thinks they've got a feminist job? Give us a cheer. Wow. See, normally my audience, I think you're probably quite a self-deprecating audience, because normally, as far as I can make out, my audience goes into three groups. One, people working in a particularly feminist occupation of some sort, an organisation working for feminism or human rights. Two, the drinks have turned up. Well done. Well done. There you go. Thank you. Lovely. Okay. Okay. When you've got your drink ready, and we're ready for a toast, we'll sing happy birthday to you. Are you saying, oh, like that's so sweet, or oh, like you're wasting time? We've not come here to centre a man. Was it that? Was it that? Yeah. We can do it very quickly. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Nelson. Happy birthday to you. See, now we've made Nelson happy, and we haven't spent any longer than necessary centering the needs of a straight cis man. Okay? Everyone's happy.
Do you want a glass as well?
I'm all right, thank you very much, though, Nelson. Yes, absolutely. I can't drink before I work because it's important for me to be a little bit ahead of the audience. So it's ideal if you've had a drink and I haven't. So if I have one, you have to have two, and there's no guarantees. He doesn't drink. So yeah, usually it's people who work in human rights or feminism of some sort specifically, or it's people in a sort of NHS role, something that's sort of more generally serving the community, or people doing a PhD on Virginia Woolf. There's always one. Anyone doing a PhD? Give us a cheer. Yeah, you said that so softly. Went, yay, like it was breaking your spirit. What's your PhD in? Biological science. You're a woman in STEM. I'm loving that. Tell us more. But what? Because PhDs are normally something very specific. What's yours in? Can someone interpret? Microbio. I thought you said Michael Bohm, and I thought he's obviously a scientist I've never heard of. Microbio. Okay, that means. The bacteria viruses on your skin. Okay. And what's the thrust of your PhD, if I can be so bold as to call it a thrust? Oh, so you're looking through the links between microbiome and epilepsy. Wow. So you may be helping people with epilepsy towards better treatment or, in fact, a cure? Potentially, we'll see. Well, that's a scientist for you. That's a female scientist for you. What would a male scientist say? Yes, thank you. Yes. That's what I'm doing. I'm just getting up in the morning and curing epilepsy. Call me a 21st century Jesus. Well, I'm very excited to hear that. So I would say that's a very feminist job, woman in STEM. Anyone else got a feminist job? Give us a cheer. Great. Anyone else? Shout out what you've got. Anybody from anywhere? wow. You run equality groups in London so Londoners can have a voice in how policing is delivered. Wow, that's amazing. Is that new? Because I feel like we haven't had much of a voice in how policing is delivered. And therefore, some of us, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say women, and there are some black men here in the front row, we've got questions and problems, okay? We don't feel covered or loved. Could you tell us a little bit more? Is it new? It's a bit new. Is it in response to all the horrendous policing and the horrible stories that have come out and the convictions and the WhatsApp groups?
One of us works on some really old stuff and has been here for a long time trying to sort these problems out.
Some of you are working on old stuff and some on new stuff. Well, listen, would you like to come on the podcast sometime and tell us about it? Oh, great. Okay. Do you... Hold on a minute. Are you an independent body or do you work for the police department? You work for the mayor? Oh, okay, then we're happy. Because I was just suddenly went, hold on, are you police officers undercover? Because that's the kind of thing they do. And they're undercover and they're just like, yeah, we're running an independent inquiry into ourselves. So far we've discovered we're awesome. We've discovered a few bad apples, but fortunately they have not spoiled the whole barrel. So you're independent. In fact, you work for the Mayor of London and you're trying to figure out how it could be less of a cunt show. Okay. You're not politically affiliated? Well, it's hard to know who to be politically affiliated with now. None of us are politically affiliated at the moment. We're just looking at it all with despair, going, anyone? Anyone? Yeah. I mean, I suppose I'll vote Labour is my current slogan. But bloody hell, some of the things that have been said lately, it's really depressing and disappointing. And Anyway, listen, well, we'd love to have you on talking about what you're trying to do and what you are doing, in fact, because I imagine there's a lot of resistance from the Met Police. If you were listening at home and you didn't hear that because the guest wasn't mic'd there, she went, great. So there's some super feminist jobs. Who thinks they've got an unfeminist job? Give us a cheer. Yes, what's your unfeminist job?
I work in the charity sector. I head up a fundraising team, so trying to raise money for young people around the world to support them in some of the challenges that they face. So whether that is ending child marriage, fighting climate change, starting jobs, the whole lot.
And that's the most unfeminist job we have in the audience. Because do you see my point? That is not an unfeminist job.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said feminist.
No. That's an unfeminist. I was like, that does sound about right. Yeah, I mean, would we call it feminist? I mean, we've really got a lot of challenges to go. No, that's absolutely incredible. Anyone got an unfeminist job? Give us a cheer. Woo. Yes, what's yours?
I work for a massive corporate.
You work for a massive corporate? Yay! What's your massive... Oh, you maybe don't want to say. What do you do for the massive corporate?
I run projects.
You run projects. You run projects for a massive corporate. It sounds like you're doing AI for Zuckerberg, and by the end of the week, we'll all be owned by you and controlled by your robot overlords.
I mean, that's possible. Yeah.
That's possible. Great. Okay, super. Do you do anything feminist to carbon offset that job?
I'm one of the most senior women.
You're one of the most senior women. Excellent. Well, you know, they also need senior women in the 7th level of hell. If anyone's thinking of going there, you know, it's very male-dominated at the moment. As is heaven. It's just the way. I'm sure we'll be still working out on this shit in the afterlife, won't we? Should there be one?
The next life.
And yeah, that's what I mean by the afterlife. Oh, do you mean the next one after the after? Oh, interesting. I haven't really thought that far ahead. I've got ADHD. Anyone else got an unfeminist job that they can beat running projects for big corporates? Yes, what's yours?
I'm an aeronautical engineer.
An aeronautical engineer? That's so feminist.
I'm confused by what you mean by feminist versus non-feminist.
Oh, unfeminist would be, sometimes people say, well, someone said the other day, I work for Amazon in their law department fighting for Bezos. Like, it's, you know, she's like, no, but then she said, I'm training as a psychotherapist so I can volunteer in hospitals for women who've been victims of assault. And that, so in order to make the nights better than the days. And I was like, bloody hell. Our audience is incredible. I do truly believe if we locked the door, we could solve good 25% of the world's problems just with any given guilty feminist audience. Well, that's wonderful to hear. Aeronautics?
Yeah, so I used to design aeroplanes. I don't do it.
You used to design aeroplanes?
The thing is, so I started my career in a group of, I was sponsored, so I was with 10 blokes and just me.
You were with 10 blokes and just you, and you were sponsored.
Yeah, and then I went to university and I was probably one of 6 women amongst 300.
You went to university, sorry, I'm just saying this for the podcast listeners. You went to university and you were one of 6 women among 300. 300 boys, not men. And that's been clarified if you're listening at home. 300 boys, there were no men on the course. There were 6 women and 300 boys. Excellent. Continue.
So I would say, I mean, that's what I would call a feminist job.
That is a feminist job, yeah.
I was confused by the way you were voicing it, because I think that is doing feminism, not talking about it, but doing it.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends. I mean, you can be doing something where you're trying to make the police force better and less homicidal, or let's be honest, less brutally homicidal. The women running that program now are literally doubled over, crying with laughter, but it doesn't really feel like they're laughing like they're at a comedy show, or they're hysterical and just exfoliating tears. But that's one way of being feminist. You could be working on a literacy program, working with women, or you could be going, you know, I'm gonna be one of 6 women with 300 boys, and I'm gonna design great big fuck off aeroplanes and show you I can do whatever you can do. What do you do now? Strategy for designing aeroplanes?
No, for corporates all around. And I run my own practice.
Oh, you run your own practice. For corporates, well, you could hire her because that's just Ali. Is it Ali? No, it's not Ali. Ali's friend. What's your name? Helen, you could...
Sure, we'll have a drink later.
Great. What's your name? Panita. So you two can hang out in the bar in the interval and come back with some deal made. Well, so far I'm absolutely loving this audience, but I think it is time to start the show and introduce you to my co-pilot for this evening. Put your hands together and make incredible woohooing noises for the wonderful Alison Spittle! Take a seat, Alison. Oh, Alison, I've really missed you. We haven't worked together much lately, and we usually do a lot.
Yeah.
So it's been just great to have you.
You smell nice. You do. Or is it me? Oh, it's me. Sorry.
That is the worst compliment I've had all week. You smell nice. Sorry, it's me.
I just bought it a few minutes ago.
You just what?
Bought this like a body spray.
Oh.
Smell it? It's a burnt marshmallow and leather jacket flavour.
That's not a flavour, is it?
Yeah.
Burnt marshmallow and leather jacket.
Yeah.
So is it like if you're like that sounds like an American cookout where lots of teenagers go up to Inspiration Point to snog and toast marshmallows over an open fire.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get off with the Fonz.
Well, it feels like like the end of an 80s horror film. You're like, where are all these teenagers? There's just burnt leather jackets and marshmallows.
It's not burnt leather jacket, is it? It's just burnt marshmallow and leather jacket.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Burnt leather jacket is really...
I mean, that would be quite acrid, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like burning tyre smell, you know?
Do you think the Met Police designed that perfume? This is The Guilty Feminist, the podcast in which we explore our noble goals as 21st century feminists and the hypocrisies and insecurities which...
Remind them.
I'm Deborah Frances-White, with me is Alison Spittle, and we are talking tonight with Priya Joi about her new book, Mother, brackets, Otherland, which is an absolutely extraordinary book that I will get into later, but it will get into race, sexism and discrimination and all sorts of things about motherhood and otherhood. It's a very, very, very interesting book, and we're going to deep dive.
Fab. That's going to be great.
Very exciting. Would you like to hear some stand-up comedies? Then please welcome to the mic the incredible Alison Spittle!
How are we doing? Good. I want to talk to you about like self-care. Because I think self-care is a load of shit. I've come to realise that. Self-care is give me your money, basically. Like I find like actual self-care is doing your taxes. You know, going for a walk. Like not buying a Korean face mask for 18 quid. Like I put on face masks, I buy face masks instead of getting psychiatric help. Because I feel like it's the same thing. And cheaper. And, you know, there's a weird thing of like, I'll change up my skincare routine because I think it'll change my brain chemistry in some way. And I thought like, you know, with the financial downturn, I don't know, have you been feeling the pinch of the cost of living crisis? It's harder being mentally ill and poorer. Do you know what I mean? It kind of exacerbates it. Like, I remember, like, when I was a kid, I had a mental breakdown. I was 13. How it came out was I was eating a jacket potato, and then I started punching the jacket potato on the table and then into the floor until it became like a crispy mash between my fingers with a crispy skin of potato as a boxing glove. And I kept punching and punching and punching. And my mum came in and goes, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I actually don't know." And continued punching jack potato. And it was good because my first breakdown happened in Ireland when it was having an economic boom at the time, right? And if you are going to have a mental breakdown, have it in a time of prosperity, because that's when you'll get help. And then when I was 18, the arse had fallen out of the property market in Ireland, and I had to pay for my own mental health help. They said, "You have to pay for it." And I said, "Oh, I'm cured." It's amazing how that happens. So what I'd like to share with you is like a cost of living savings tip. If you can't afford the expensive face masks anymore for your mental health help, I've got a little tip that'll help you save money. Go to a supermarket, any major supermarket with like a glass kind of deli in the back, you know, where like someone has to wear a white jacket and slice up the meat for you. The good shit, right? Go there and buy a little slice of Billy Bear ham. It will cost about 25p. It's very cheap. And you just pay for it, take it out, bring yourself into a room with a mirror. And then I need you to consume the eyes of the Billy Bear ham. Just eat the eyes. And then dart your tongue for the mouth of the Billy Bear ham. So you've created a breathing hole for yourself, right? And then I want you to slap the Billy Bear ham straight on your face, right? The mechanical meat juices will moisturize you. Like in that I'd say it works just as well as any other face mask that you use. And then I need you to look in the mirror with the Billy Bear face mask on and go, "I am enough." And one day you'll believe that. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Alison Spittle, everybody. Okay, that was excellent.
I'm sounding very husky.
No, you're sounding brilliant. Very Alison brilliant.
Oh,
And you are enough.
thank you, Deborah. Wait, you? Oh my God.
We're having a moment.
We are actually.
You can all leave.
That's very nice. Your hand is beautiful. Have you ever been told that?
No,
You've such beautiful, dainty knuckles.
Do you think?
I genuinely mean that.
I never think they photograph very well. I need to put more moisturiser on. Right, look, my hands look older. They're just unmoisturised.
But they're. What do you mean they look older? They look beautiful. Like don't you?
But look at yours. Yours are so moist and bouncy.
That's me, baby.
Mine will be moist and bouncy if but I have to put lots of hand cream on all the time. And
do you know what I recommend? Billy Bear ham.
The vegans will not be happy. Now, Can you get vegan Billy Baham?
No.
The vegans a
No.
very pissed off vegan has gone, no, you can't.
No.
And otherwise I'd be doing that tomorrow. Hello, Guilty Feminists. This is Deborah. We've got some live shows coming up and we would love you to be there. Tonight, Monday the 5th of June, Alison Spittle and I will be talking to science journalist Priya Joi and NHS nurse and Professor of Medical Humanities Chrissy Watson. That's at King's Place at 7 p.m. in London. And we have more shows at King's Place on the 22nd of June and the 24th of July, and Soho Theatre on the 11th and 12th of August. And on Sunday the 9th of July, we'll be at the Turner Gallery in Margate, recording an episode from 12:45 p.m. For tickets, go to guiltyfeminist.com and click on live shows. A play that I wrote, Never Have I Ever, is at Chichester Festival Theatre on the 1st to the 30th of September, and tickets are on sale now and going fast. Go to cft.org.uk and look for Never Have I Ever. It stars our very own Susan McComber and also Alexandra Roach, Amit Shah and Greg Wise. And on the 21st of August, there will be a special episode of the podcast from Chichester where I'll be talking about the show. Join our Patreon to get ad-free episodes and to support the show. And if you could subscribe or follow on wherever you get your podcasts, that'll really help other people find the show. Don't forget to tell someone else you know who might enjoy listening. You could even WhatsApp them or tell them with your face. And now, back to the podcast. Our guest today is a well-respected science journalist who reported on the Ebola breakout in West Africa, the COVID-19 pandemic, and has reported from the field on malaria, HIV and TB. She has freelanced for The Guardian, the BBC and Médecins Sans Frontières, and has chaired and spoken at science conferences. She has worked to shine a light on issues of race, sexism and discrimination her entire career, and she has now published her first book, Mother, Other, Land. Please welcome to the stage the incredible Priya Joi. Priya, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's so good to be here.
It's absolutely lovely to have you. And your CV is so impressive.
Thank you.
And you heard about some of the incredible feminist
I really
voices.
did. What a great audience.
I know. They are absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
Your book really interested me very much, and it was really beautifully written. And it opens with a story about your daughter asking if she could have an Elsa from Frozen blonde, like a plait, to put on her
That's
hair.
right, yeah.
And as an Asian child, you
Yes.
were like, oh, how's that going to go? And that opened a conversation with her. Can you tell us just a little bit about that conversation and what made you want to write this book?
Yeah, so we were living in France at the time, and surrounded by a sea of whiteness. And we were this little Asian family kind of chugging along. And I'd always thought, so my husband is British Bangladeshi, I'm British Indian, and I'd always assumed that my kid had kind of absorbed ideas of identity and race and belonging from us. But actually what I forgot is that kids don't really look to their parents for role models. They kind of, look at Disney films and stuff like that. So she'd been watching Frozen and, The Little Mermaid and all of these sorts of cartoons, and had somehow incorporated the idea that that was what was beautiful and that what was pretty and that was what she wanted to be. And so as we were kind of bumbling around the supermarket, she saw this plait, this really long blonde plait. My daughter's got hair as black as mine, and she sort of sandwiched it on and looked at herself and went, oh, that looks good. And then that sparked this whole conversation about, well, your skin colour's a bit different. And she then said she wanted to be peach. And that's what made me think, okay, I've got to tackle this, really.
It's an extraordinary moment for a parent to then go, well, I don't want to stop her having something that to her just means, oh, I get to pretend to be Elsa. But at the same time, I don't want to not use this as an opportunity to have this conversation. And when you had that conversation, that must have been devastating to hear that she wanted to be peach and she didn't want to be brown.
Yeah, that's right. So I think if she had just picked up the plait, I wouldn't have said anything, but it came from her saying that she wanted to be Peach. And because she was only 5 at the time, I sort of had to really kind of balance like how you talk to kids about tricky issues like this, because you can't be too heavy-handed, because then they just ignore you and go looking for the Monster Munch, but you let those little moments pass, because those are little gems of moments, of opportunities to bring those difficult conversations in, because when you're a parent, your kid will listen to you for maybe 35 seconds before they just like bugger off somewhere. So that's when I thought, okay, so how am I going to bring this in? So I started bringing in other films, Disney films with kind of brown princesses and so on.
And The Little Mermaid has had recently a live-action makeover at Silent Cinema.
We just saw that.
Did you enjoy it?
It was brilliant, yeah.
How did she respond to that?
She really loved it. She absolutely loved it. And now she's older, so she's about to turn 9. And we were talking the other day about body image. And I was trying to tell her about, there's a girl a couple of years older who I think is starting to restrict what she's eating. So I was trying to, in my kind of casual way, broach this with Leela and say, hey, so, some girls start to eat a bit less. And she went, oh, no, I love my food. And then she started saying, well, I love being brown. And so she's now internalized a different narrative. And it took a few years. But what it took is seeing more around her, seeing more representation around her.
Yes, I think that we just underestimate all the time the stories we're told by the media and the stories we tell each other, and therefore the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
And the stories, if we internalise that story, our children will pick up on it. So it's so important that we get ourselves right, because the children in our life, whether they be ours or whether they be children we're close to, Alice and I don't have any children, unless you've got children I don't know about.
No, not that I know about. I don't, but it is scary, isn't it? Like what children take on. You don't know. You don't know what they're going to hold on to. See, it really is quite like a tightrope of trying to figure out how do I let them know my view of the world without imposing it. Yeah. Even though, to impose, I think that whiteness is not the best thing in the world. To say impose that sounds like it's a negative when it isn't the best thing in the world. It's just. Depicted all the time.
Yeah, I think so. For the way I approach it is, I try and have a conversation with her and kind of gently lead her to, sort of explaining why. So rather than saying, it's not a great thing when there's only white people in this space, but to say, how much cooler would it be if there's lots of different people or lots of different ideas and make it kind of more about why it's a good thing rather than because there is a certain level to how much kids will take on.
Yeah.
And if you try and make it too heavy, they then again run away. The other So
what words do you use in that moment? Because I think your book's very beautiful in the way you handle these things. How do you approach it so as not to scare the child off or make them think they've said the wrong thing, but also to open their mind to something else?
So, for example, with Disney, when we started having this conversation, I said, it's not that great, is it, that you can't see dolls that look like you, you can't see princesses that look like you, but you could actually be anything you want. And so I kind of made the most of kids at 5 or 6 have all the confidence in the world. They want to be an astronaut, they want to be a singer, a musician, they want to be Beyonce. And so, and to sort of point out the fact, because kids are quite smart, if you say, but you could be anything, but why don't you see people who are doing all of these things with the same skin colour as you? It starts to, they actually figure it out, I think, really quickly, that this is massively unequal, and you don't necessarily need to hammer that point home. And then I sort of have these little bite-sized conversations as they come up. But now I'm starting to talk about periods. And when I was talking to my daughter in the shower the other day, when she was just hanging outside, she said, "Oh, this is not about periods again, is it?" And I said, "Well, no, actually, it's about the HPV vaccine." because young girls around the age of about 11 is a time, so in a couple of years. So I slip these in at shower time.
Nice. How do you? My mum, when she gave me the period talk, got the Encyclopedia Britannica out
Oh my God.
and opened it up at the picture of ovaries.
Oh, wow.
And to me, I was looking at the diagram of ovaries and I was like, this looks like a goat's head. Like, a sacrifice or something. But she went into, she had, do you know the way, like, not to say all mums, right? My mum had a telephone voice. So
Had a what voice?
a telephone voice.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So she'd be like, hello, and then she'd be like, hello, that type of thing. My mum also had a period talk voice, which would be like, Alison, I have something very important to talk to you about. And then she would open up and go, these are the ovums. There is a definite, like, the talk voice.
Yeah.
Did you do that? Or were you're just
I
chill?
felt like I was being much cooler than that, but
Yeah?
obviously not, because she could
You're like,
see something's coming.
Word on the street is the HPV vaccine is coming. Hey, Daddy-o. Just start clicking. Sorry.
Well, listen, you're doing a great job. The book's very beautiful. Could you read a little bit of the book for us, please?
Yes, I'd love to. So I'm actually going to read that scene where we have that moment of reckoning. Mama, 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 can I have that? I glanced up in the middle of the French supermarket we were in, meandering through highways of camembert and baguettes and Côte de Rhône to see what Leela was pointing at. In among a carousel of film merchandising tat, the thing that caught her eye was a blonde Elsa braid from the Disney film Frozen. We'd moved to France when Leela was only 11 months old, to a village on the border with Switzerland that lay in the hinterland between the Alps and the Jura Mountains. For the most part, my kid was surrounded by white people in all-weather jackets and ironed jeans. What did Leela think about her skin colour, I wondered, that she wanted a blonde hair extension? Did she think she was white? Was it true that children had no idea that people came in different colours? I'm happy to buy that for you, but don't you think it might look a bit odd, sandwiched onto your black hair, I asked, amused. I wish I had blonde hair, Leela let out a sigh. You mean you want to dye your hair blonde one day, I replied. It was then that my caramel-coloured child told me how she really felt, a confession that made my entire being implode like a dying star running out of energy, collapsing in on itself. She crinkled her nose and then, cautiously, somehow sensing the impact it might have, revealed this heart-stopping confession. I want to be peach. I don't think that brown skin is... She searched for the right word before settling on beautiful. This was my first inkling that my daughter was not entirely at peace with the way she looked. At first, I wasn't sure she really meant it, that perhaps she was trying out a thought like kids do, rolling it around in their minds like a marble to see where it lands. Because it didn't fit the idea I had of her. Leela has always been a bold and confident kid who strides through the world like she owns it, the embodiment of female empowerment. So what's with this dissatisfaction with her skin? Her words played back to me, this time without the pause. I want to be peach. Holy hell. Deep breath, I thought, don't panic. Leela, we come from one of the oldest civilizations in the world. We come from a land where billions pray to mighty warrior goddesses every day. They're all brown. So people in India aren't peach? There's lots of different shades of brown. There's light brown, dark brown, peachy brown even. Your skin tone is just another colour in your crayon box. She shrugged. I still want the Elsa braid.
How much of the book is really about raising children who are not of the dominant group, where you have to do a sort of special extra sort of parenting that perhaps puts more emotional labour on you and the family than if you were of the dominant group? And I say dominant group, that might be the case in France or the UK, but you are, of course, in the global majority. Mm-hmm. You're not a minority. But if you are living in the UK or France, how much of this book is really dealing with those subjects of parenting?
So quite a lot, because what happens when you're a parent of an ethnic minority living somewhere like the UK or Spain or France, being a parent throws your entire sense of self upside down anyway. And then you've got all this cultural baggage that's kind of weighing you down. And what you're trying to struggle with is how much do you teach your kids? Because if you've got a brown or a black kid, you do need to teach them stuff. There's no getting around that. But how much do you not weigh them down with your own crap that you're holding? Because, I mean, I lived in England in the 70s and it wasn't pretty at certain points. It was incredible. I mean, it still is incredibly racist, but there was different kinds of racism. And those formative experiences, I don't want those to be the only conversations I have with Leela, but that definitely colours it, as it were.
Mm-hmm. And what did you learn that you didn't know you knew when you came to write a book? Because I think there are lots of things you intuit and the ways that you are, but when you write a book, you have to unpack what you're doing, you have to unpack your ideas. What did you learn?
I think I didn't realise how much of an influence the outside world holds versus family. I'd always thought that for little kids, their family is their kind of initial universe, and then the outside world sort of like rotates around it. But actually, kids take in so much from the outside. The other thing that I learned is, because I've got 2 older stepkids, and we all sat down and had this conversation about how they felt. So they're part white and part Bangladeshi. And we had a conversation with them about what it felt like to be mixed race, and they have really opposing views on how early you talk to kids about race and what you talk to them about. And so it also taught me that, actually, and I think I knew this, but it was just proven to me, that whether you're brown or black or whatever ethnicity you are, your view on it is so heterogeneous, it's so different across the board, and people approach this really differently. So my older stepdaughter didn't really want me to talk to Leela too much about it because she thought it was kind of sort of polluting her sweet little worldview. But my stepson, who's had racist abuse, said no, he really wanted to, he wished he'd known this, he'd wished his dad had spoken to him about this and kind of prepared him for the world. So even within a family with similar kind of ethnic background, I guess, you can have such different feelings about it. And it is a feeling, because this is not a objective thing that you can say, well, this is how you talk to kids about this and this is how you should feel. It is a feeling.
Mm. One of the most moving things in the book for me was about you being sent to India as a child, and your feelings about that now, having a child, that you were sent partly to be raised by your grandparents. And that must have been an extraordinary experience, to be parted from your parents, but also you talk about not really knowing the difference when you're a child, although you remember feeling very heartbroken to leave and missing your sister. There was this sense that you had later in life when you had your own child, where you went, how could anyone have done this? And that it's really goes there in the book. It's really, really vulnerable. Could you talk a little bit about how that was to write and what you learnt writing that?
Yeah, that was, there were a lot of tears and chocolates that I ate after that to make me feel better. So I was 8 years old. Well, I was 4 months old when I first went to India to live with my grandparents, because my mum was going through what we think is postnatal depression. I then came back to England, and then I went again at 8. And as a teenager and in my 20s, I kind of just internalized the story, like we all kind of internalize our childhood stories as, well, that's just what happened. Then I had a child, and when my baby was about 3 or 4 months old, the same age that I first went over to India, my aunt took me. It was Christmas, we were all in my parents' house, and I remember looking down at my daughter and thinking, it would be now as if I were packing her a little suitcase and sending her off and not seeing her for another year, and missing her first steps and her first burbles and her rolling over and all of those key steps. And I had all these hormones raging in me, and I was so in love with my baby and so furious with my mum, and I had a conversation with my mum, and it was just this, like, we were both time traveling through all these emotions, and kind of, she was sobbing and breaking down and saying that she didn't have any other choice, and I said, I would literally have chopped off a limb rather than be parted from my daughter. So we couldn't talk about this again until about 6 years later. Then we had a much more kind of calm conversation where it turned out, where I understood that she actually couldn't cope. And she was having breakdowns every 2 weeks, And it was incredibly tough, and I have had therapy about it, and I don't know how much I've processed of it, but I understand her, and I understand also that anger comes with, in time it came with deep understanding of knowing how painful it must have been for her to have her baby on another continent.
It must have been very traumatic for you to write about. Like, how did you deal with the aftermath of writing about that? And, you know, the book is about, like, motherhood and stuff, and there's so much that comes up. Like, how did you deal with your feelings and process that while writing the book and after? Because I found doing stand-up shows about traumatic events, I thought it was... For me, I was like, oh, this is trauma, and it's good that I'm processing it, and like I feel artistically like I'm helping myself, but also there was an element of, I couldn't stop crying at some points, and I didn't know why, but it was because of trauma.
Well, yeah.
Like, how was that?
Doing art about it. It's alchemy. It's an amazing thing to be able to turn your trauma into art, but you've got to be present.
I don't know. I still haven't figured it out. So I think I'm being a bit selfish and going, do you know how to do this shit? Because
I feel like what happened...
How do you not cry?
I feel like what happened when I wrote it was like as if I'd gone deep into this well and scooped up all this stuff I'd been trying to pretend wasn't there. And then now I'm just in this shallow paddling pool and I'm constantly kind of stepping in it and I couldn't get away from it. And so what I had to do then was just not think about it or not look at the book for a while.
Right.
And so when my editor said, oh, I'm going to send you edits in 2 weeks' time or something, I genuinely nearly had a breakdown. And then I spoke to my sister, who's the first person I always speak to, and she said, nope, you are not going to do that. And then she got me to speak to my agent, who then spoke to my editor, who said, Priya can't deal with this right now. She needs a bit more time. So I sort of had this protective kind of veneer over me. And because I couldn't, I think my skin, it felt like every layer of my skin had been stripped off. And I was sort of going about my day and taking my kid to school and seeing friends and pretending like kind of life was normal, as if I hadn't just excavated this enormous trauma.
Yeah.
I did speak to a therapist, and then I just went on holiday loads.
Good call.
Good. Yeah,
call.
That's good.
Good call. And the other thing you said you really wanted to talk about tonight was about the motherhood choice, that the way society demands one thing or the other or both and neither at the same time. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, this is something I feel so strongly about. So there's a chapter in the book that I talk about to be or not to be a mother. And when I was trying to figure out whether I wanted to be a mum, because it seemed like such a huge decision, I spoke to friends who'd had babies and they just went, oh, well, we kind of just figured it out. And then, and they seemed to think much less about their choice to have a baby than women who deliberately had chosen not to or couldn't, or, there just didn't seem to be the same level of thought. And it really made me think about how it is actually such a feminist choice to have a baby or not, or whatever it is you want to do with your body. But even now, in 2023, when women don't want to have a baby, for whatever reason, they're constantly asked about it at parties and so on, oh, you guys not, whatever. And then when they do have a baby, about 80 or 90% of the workload is dumped on them, and they find it impossible to get childcare, and they have to pretty much, loads of women I know, if they're in a partnership, about 90% of their earnings goes into childcare, and it just feels like this impossible sort of reproductive cycle that we're locked in no matter what we choose, that I feel like is a big distraction from the bigger thing of world domination and ruling the world, which is really what we want, right?
It does seem like a massive distraction. When I tried to have children and couldn't, but then I decided to stop trying and just think, right, I'm going to focus on other things. And that was a decision. It was a conscious choice. And a couple of times at parties, someone with children would say to me, are you going to have children? I'd be like, no, I've decided not to. And they'd say, you'll change your mind. And I would always just go, oh, have you? You changed your mind. You had children. You changed your mind. Yeah. And that really used to close down the conversation in a very dramatic way.
That's such
And then
a good
apparently
answer.
I've ruined the dinner party again. But sometimes I think that's what it's about. I think it's about, like, I need you to have children quickly because I've had them and now I'm finding it a little bit tricky. And, you know, and the thing is, both having children and not having children is amazing.
Yeah.
If you want it to be. If you get behind... Of course, there are some people who really want children and can't have them, and that is biological and it's a driver, and I absolutely deeply empathise with that.
Yeah.
I really, really do. I'm not taking that away from anyone. But if you're undecided, then, and you just go, oh, I'm not really sure, pick one and then get behind it. That's what I'd say. And
really?
I'd say pick one and get behind it. I wasted too many years not sure, and I really wish I'd just gone, I'm not doing it. You know?
I keep feeling like I'm forgetting to have kids. Do you know?
You could set an alarm on something on your phone.
What, like the biological clock?
Yes. I just you keep hitting the snooze on the biological clock.
I don't think I am going to have kids, but I would love to get past the point where
you're in two minds.
Well, no, I'd love to be like, I'd love for their choice to be taken away from me. Do you know what I mean? And then people go, oh, you didn't have kids? Like, oh, shit, yeah, forgot that. Don't have a mortgage either. Probably not going to get that either. And just be at one. I hate the possibility of children within, do you know?
I do know exactly what you mean. I think a lot of people
have to pull
relate to
out,
that.
you know.
No, I think a lot of people... I think a lot of people relate to it, of not knowing and thinking, well, maybe I should. And a lot of women I know are freezing their eggs, that kind of thing, just in case you panic later and think, I really want this.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any way around it. I think if the biological possibility is within you, you'll always think, am I missing out on some huge opportunity? You know, not you will always. Some people know they don't want them, some people know they do. But if you are, a lot of people are in that middle and they flip-flop. Just give us a cheer if you're in the middle, you don't know. Just give us a cheer if you absolutely know you don't want them. Well, those people are the happiest. If you know that you do want them, but you haven't had them yet, if you've had them and it's too late. If you've had them and it's too late, give us a cheer.
That's a very masculine sounding.
That's Nelson. If you're pleased you've had them overall, like on a sort of, you go, all things being equal, yeah, I'm glad I did it, give us a cheer. If you think, oh, no, it was a terrible mistake, no one should do it, give us a cheer. Okay. No one wants to admit to that, but I should have done that one first. Because I think now they've heard those people, they think I can't say that.
I feel like my ovaries are a well, and I just want to fill the well with cement. Instead of having a warning sign going, danger, well.
You can do that, you know. You can do it.
I can fill my well with cement.
I don't think that's the process, no. I don't think that's what you should ask for when you go to the doctor.
No.
I don't go in and say, I'd like you to fill my well with cement. Because then they definitely won't do the thing they can do. Right. Because they'll think, she's...
What would they... Anyway, let's...
Yeah. Well, listen. The book is phenomenal. Is there anything you came to say that you didn't get to say that you would like to tell us about?
I think just think hard before you have kids. No, I just think it should be a woman's choice. That's what I would say. I think we should stop having the entire world and politicians getting involved. I think it should be a woman's choice.
Just make your own decision. You have been listening to The Guilty Feminist with me, Henry Francis White, guest co-host Alison Spittle, and our very special guest, Priya Joi. The recording engineer was Chris Sharp. The Guilty Feminist theme tune was composed by Mark Hodge. The producer was Tom Salinsky for the sponsored Daily Shot. Thanks to Rachel Croft and Gina Decio, Zainab Mohammed, and everyone at King's Place, as well as all of you for listening. For more information about this and other episodes, visit guiltyfeminist.com.
I
Did
nearly
you get an electric shock?
No. What happened was, right? I twisted it with a bit of like the two things came down and sandwiched my finger between it.
Ooh.
And do you know what's mad? I was going to call it a little bitch. And then I remembered I'm at the Kill You Feminist. I was like, no, that's misogynist. I'm a feminist, but I call anything that hurts me a little bitch. I call my sister a little bitch, but that's out of love. You know? How are you, you little bitch? She's fine. She's 12. So,
The Guilty Feminist is provided exclusively from Acast. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.